Hello friends, myself Dr. Nandakumar Rao Bawale from College of Engineering Ambazogai is going to deal with Applied Thermodynamics 1. This is our 17th lecture. In previous lecture, we have discussed about the introduction to vapor power cycle and the efficiency of Carnot cycle we have studied, where we have seen the processes involved in Carnot vapor cycle. So now today we will be discussing about Rankine cycle, then comparison of Carnot cycle with Rankine cycle, efficiency of Rankine cycle in terms of temperature and latent heat at the supply pressure. There are three different cases in this. First one is steam supplied is wet. Second case is steam supplied is dry. And third case is steam supplied is superheated. So yesterday itself we have discussed about the working principle of Rankine cycle. Anyway, today also we'll have a brief idea about the working principle of Rankine cycle, and then we will discuss about the details of Rankine cycle and how to find out efficiency of Rankine cycle. So let us consider this as a boiler, and in this boiler we assume that the water which is inside the boiler is saturated water here. So this saturated water is having state A. The water which is saturated is represented on TS diagram at point A. So at point A, the state of working substance is liquid, and that is a saturated liquid at a higher temperature, that is the temperature of boiler as T1. So the water is at saturated condition. Further amount of heat supplied, any amount of heat supplied to this boiler beyond this, so it will convert this water into steam. So here the amount of heat which we supply will be latent heat of vaporization. On PV diagram, the condition of water or state of water is represented as A. At this condition is saturated water, that is nothing but additional amount of heat supplied will be absorbed by this water to get converted into steam. So this water is supplied with enthalpy or heat energy, and that converts into a dry saturated steam cell. So at point B, we assume that steam coming out of this boiler is dry saturated. So dry saturated steam comes out of this boiler by absorbing latent heat of vaporization, and this steam is ready to enter into the turbine, that is steam turbine. So steam absorbs latent heat of vaporization between point A to B, and at point B steam comes out of this boiler in the form of dry saturated steam. So here also from A to B steam absorbs latent heat of vaporization, that is HFG, is absorbed by steam, and at point B steam comes out as a dry saturated steam. Steam may be wet, steam may be dry saturated, or steam may be superheated when it comes out of the boiler. Uh, Presently we are considering steam coming out of the boiler is dry saturated. So dry saturated steam comes out from the boiler, and that enters into the turbine, where the steam gets expanded in this turbine, and here the power is produced, mechanical work is produced in this turbine, and the steam expanded comes out of this boiler at the lowest pressure or condenser pressure at point C. So the expansion which takes place in this turbine is adiabatic expansion, reversible adiabatic expansion is assumed. Adiabatic expansion means there is no transfer of heat to the surrounding. It is assumed that turbine is insulated. The turbine is insulated and the steam is expanded. There is no heat transfer from surrounding to system or system to surrounding. So steam is expanded in this turbine and enters into the condenser at point C. So from point B on TS diagram, from point B to C, the steam is expanded isentropically, and at point C steam enters into the condenser. So that process, reversible adiabatic process B to C, is also shown on PV diagram. So this process is shown on PV diagram by a curve where the steam is expanded isentropically. The isentropic expansion is carried out, and that isentropic expansion is represented by a vertical straight line on TS diagram. So after that, steam when enters into the condenser, The cold water is circulated. So cold water is passed into the condenser, and it absorbs heat energy from this steam which is entering into the condenser, and this water becomes hot, and hot water comes out of this condenser, and steam gets condensed. That is, phase change takes place. Latent heat of condensation is rejected by this water, and this water comes out at point D from this condenser. So steam is condensed and gets converted into perfect liquid. So from point C to D, there is a heat rejection at constant pressure and at constant temperature. So when this complete steam gets converted into liquid, then we call it as a condensate, and that condensate becomes a saturated liquid coming out of this condenser at lower temperature T2 and pressure P2, where P2 is the pressure of condenser, working pressure of condenser, and T1 is the working pressure of working temperature of boiler, and P1 is working pressure of boiler. T1 is working temperature and P1 is working pressure of boiler, whereas T2 is working temperature of condenser and P2 is working pressure of boiler. So this condensate comes out at point E. So this process of condensation is also represented on this PV diagram by this straight line DC. So this is nothing but the condensation process at constant pressure. So this CD is isothermal process, where the pressure as well as temperature is going to remain constant in this case. Actually, in the isothermal process, the temperature remains constant, but here as it lies between these two curves, that is saturated liquid curve and saturated dry saturated steam curve. So this process C to D is isothermal as well as constant pressure. So when steam comes out of this sorry, steam gets condensed in this condenser and comes out of this condenser. So this condensate is having very low specific volume, condensate having low specific volume is taken by this pump, and it is pressurized because the pressure of boiler is P1, which is very high. Boiler working pressure is very high, and this condenser pressure is P2, it is very low. So it is necessary for us to supply this condensate as a feed water into the boiler. Therefore, pressure of this condensate has to be increased. So that is pressurized using a pump. So pressure is increased from D to E using a pump. So D to E is nothing but a pressurized fluid is pressurized, and it is supplied into the boiler. So when it enters into the boiler at point E, the temperature of water is not a saturated temperature, or a temperature of saturation it has not reached. So from point E onwards, it is heated sensibly. Sensible heat is added to increase its temperature from E to A. So here sensible heating takes place, and this water again from point A onwards starts to evaporate. So this process D to E, where pressure is increased from P2, which is lower pressure of condenser, to the higher pressure of boiler. So a pump is used to increase this pressure. On PV diagram, this process D to E is represented by a vertical curve where pressure is increased from lower pressure of condenser to the higher pressure of boiler, and E to A is sensible heating, where heating of this water after entering into the boiler takes place. So this is how this cycle again repeats. A to B again evaporation, B to C expansion, then C to D condensation, and D to E pressurized supply to the boiler of supply of water to the boiler, and E to A is sensible heating. A to B is again latent heat of vaporization is added. So that process is also represented, processes are represented on this TS diagram. A to B is nothing but vaporization or phase change. Latent heat of vaporization is added to the water, convert it into steam, and at point B, this steam is expanded in the turbine in order to produce work B to C. So this expansion is nothing but isentropic expansion, where it is assumed that the turbine is insulated, and from point C to D, steam is passed through the condenser, and the phase of steam is converted from vapor to the liquid, a saturated liquid comes out of this condenser, and that is pressurized into the boiler from D to E. So the pump is used to increase pressure from P2 to P1. At point E, the sensible heat is added and the temperature of water is increased to temperature of boiler, and then the water becomes what you say as a saturated water. Again it starts to evaporate. The feed water which is supplied into the boiler gains first sensible heat, then it gains latent heat of vaporization, then it is expanded. So these are the processes which are involved in this Rankine cycle. And now we will discuss about various processes once again. So coming to this first curve A to B, which was shown on TS and PV diagram, evaporation of saturated liquid at pressure P1. So where pressure P1 is the boiler pressure. P1 is the boiler pressure. At boiler pressure, steam evaporation takes place. Then the condition of steam at B may be wet, dry or superheated steam. So I already told that steam may be dry, saturated or wet or superheated when it comes out of this boiler. So depending on that we have to find out enthalpies of steam. Then B to C is isentropic expansion, where steam is expanded from pressure P1 boiler pressure to the condenser pressure P2. From P1 to P2 steam is expanded, and here work is done, work output is taken out from this condenser. And afterwards, coming to CD, the process of condensation of steam to saturated liquid at condenser pressure, the steam is condensed, that is steam phase is changed from vapor to liquid. So it is condensed in this process C to D. Then afterwards at point D, the liquid which is condensed, or we call it as a condensate, saturated water at condenser pressure P2 and temperature T2 is available. So when steam is condensed, then it gets converted into liquid, we call it as a condensate, and the temperature of that condensate is temperature T2 and pressure is P2, which is condenser pressure. Then this condensate is adiabatically pressurized with the help of a pump and supplied from the pressure P2 to the boiler pressure P1. Condenser pressure is P2, which is lower pressure, and using this pump the pressurized supply of feed water is made to the boiler, and that is called as adiabatic pressurization, where there is no transfer of heat. Then E to A. E to A is heat is supplied by boiler to raise temperature of water to the saturation temperature at higher pressure P1. So this is known as sensible heat addition to the water which is supplied to the boiler. So already we have discussed all this on Rankine cycle or on PV and TS diagram. Now coming to the various terms, HB. This HB represents specific enthalpy of steam at point B, which is represented on TS diagram. So in TS diagram as well as on PV diagram, we considered B as a dry saturation point of steam. Then HC is specific enthalpy of steam at point C. So at point C, the steam is expanded in the turbine. So after expansion, whatever enthalpy is going to remain with the steam, that is represented by HC. And VF, it is specific volume of water at D or E. Specific volume of water is going to be very similar because it has got a very low specific volume when it is in the form of water, when it is in the form of liquid. So when water is in the form of liquid, then specific volume is going to be very small, and at point D or E, the specific volume of water remains approximately same. And HFE, HFE is a specific enthalpy of water at point E. So this suffix E represents it is at point E. Then here also suffix C represents enthalpy at point C, whereas suffix B represents enthalpy at point B. Now coming to this next term, HFA, enthalpy of specific enthalpy of water at point A. This suffix A represents at point A. And HFD is specific enthalpy of water at point D. Suffix D represents at point D. So that we have seen in previous diagram. So enthalpy at A, enthalpy at B, enthalpy at C, enthalpy of water at D, enthalpy of water at E. So in this way we find enthalpies at various points. Then coming to this Rankine cycle, we want to find out the equations or derivations. So heat supplied by water per kg of steam generated. So we want to find out heat supplied. Heat supplied by boiler per kg of steam that is generated is equal to, so heat supplied in the boiler that we can find out from this diagram. So enthalpy of steam at point B minus enthalpy of steam at E. So heat supply process starts from point E. So initially sensible heat is added from point E to A, and latent heat of vaporization is added from A to B. So enthalpy at point B minus enthalpy at point E gives us amount of heat energy supplied to the water in a boiler. So here we can write it as HB minus of HFE. HFE is because HB is nothing but enthalpy of dry saturated steam, whereas HFE, it is enthalpy of water at point E, because the condition of working substance at point E is water, so it is written as F. So F represents it is water. So now this can be written as HB as it is, we write minus of, so coming back to the diagram, enthalpy at point E can be written as enthalpy at point D plus, this is the pump work. Enthalpy of water at point E is equal to enthalpy at point D plus pump work. So here we can write it like this: HB minus of HFD plus of pump work WP, where WP is pump work. Now where we can write here WP is work done by the pump, per kg of water pumped to the boiler. So now this work is known, that we can find out work done per kg of steam in prime mover. Now second thing, this is equation number 1, we can call this is nothing but amount of heat supplied in a boiler. Then afterwards we want to find out work done. Work done per kg of steam. Work done per kg of steam. Sorry, per kg of steam in a prime mover or in a turbine is equal to work done in prime mover is from point C to B to C. So steam is expanded from point B to C. So if we know enthalpy at point B and enthalpy at point C, so work done is calculated difference of HB minus HC. So the enthalpy at point B, if we know the difference between enthalpies, that is nothing but amount of enthalpy converted into the work done, we can find out HB minus HC, enthalpy at point B minus enthalpy at point C, is nothing but this difference amount of enthalpy is converted into work energy. Now the work done by the pump per kg of water supplied to boiler can be obtained. So this we call as equation number 2. Now coming to next, the work done by the pump per kg of water supplied. The work done by the pump per kg of water supplied to the boiler which is given by WP pump work is equal to specific volume of water into difference of pressure P1 minus P2, or this can be given as specific volume of water into P1 minus P2 into 10 to the power of minus 3 kilojoules per kg of water, where P1 and P2 are in Newton per meter square. If P1 and P2 are in bar, then this work done by the pump to supply water into the boiler is given by VW is the specific volume of water P1 minus P2, where P1 and P2 are in bar, so into 100 kilojoules per kg of water, where P1 and P2, where P1 and P2 are in bar. So here we can see how we get this in terms of VW into P1 minus P2 into 100. So unit of VW is specific volume meter cube per kg, and pressure is, for example, it is in bar. So if we convert this into Newton per meter square, so P1 minus P2 into 10 to the power of 5 Newton divided by 1000. If we want to convert it into kilojoules, we have to divide it by 1000. So 1000 and this 5 gets cancelled, only 2 is going to remain. Kilojoules per kg. So here 10 to the power of 2 means 100. So if we want to substitute pressure in bar, then we have to use this equation. And if we want to use pressure in terms of Newton per meter square, then we have to use VW P1 minus P2 into 10 to the power of minus 3 kilojoules per kg of water. So this is the amount of work done by pump. Now this equation Equation number 3 we can call. Equation number 3 gives the work consumed by pump to supply water into the boiler, whereas equation number 2 gives amount of work developed by the turbine. So now net available work output is the difference of these two. So out of the work developed by the turbine, some part of work is consumed by the pump as per the equation number 3. So equation number 3 says us that this much amount of work is consumed by pump. So net work available at the output will be less than that. Therefore, net available work net available work per kg of water is given by, so turbine work is HB minus HC. This much amount of work is developed. Out of that, pump work is subtracted. So pump work is given by VW into P1 minus P2 into 100, or in short we can write it as HB minus HC minus of pump work W suffix. So we can call this as equation number 4. Equation number 4 gives us net work done. Therefore, the efficiency of efficiency of efficiency of the Rankine cycle is given as efficiency of Rankine cycle is equal to net work output whole divided by heat supplied. So net work done by this is HB minus HC bracket minus of pump work WP according to equation number 4 whole divided by, according to equation number 1, HB heat supplied is HB minus HFD plus of pump work WP. So if we neglect pump work, which is very small as compared to the work developed by the turbine, so neglecting WP where the WP is very small, therefore WP is assumed to be approximately equal to 0. Therefore the Rankine efficiency can be written as HB minus HC whole divided by HB minus HFD 100. Then we get efficiency percent. So this is equation number 5. Equation number 5, or we call this as equation number 5. Equation number 5 and equation number 6. Equation number 5 gives the efficiency of Rankine cycle considering pump work, and equation number 6 gives efficiency of Rankine cycle neglecting the pump work. Now coming to comparison of Rankine cycle with Carnot cycle. So already we have discussed Rankine cycle and Carnot cycle. So Carnot cycle, which was represented on TS diagram, was involving this loop A, B, C and E. So A, B, C, E is nothing but the representation of Carnot cycle on TS diagram. Whereas if we see A, B, C, E, A is Carnot cycle. And according to the Rankine cycle starts at point D, A, B, C, D. So this D, A, B, C, D is nothing but Rankine cycle. So now coming to this, Rankine cycle is a practical cycle due to complete condensation. So in this Rankine cycle, the condensation process starts at point C and ends at point D. So here the condensation of steam takes place, perfect condensation, whereas in Carnot cycle condensation process is stopped at point E. So in Carnot cycle the condensation is incomplete, but in case of Rankine cycle condensation is complete. Therefore in actual practice Rankine cycle is a practical cycle which can be used as a standard reference. Now the ideal Carnot cycle is not possible with superheated steam. So in case of Carnot cycle, the steam may be dry saturated or it can be wet. So steam cannot be heated in the superheated region. So that limitation is there in Carnot cycle. But in Rankine cycle, steam can be heated in the superheated region and that can be expanded. That we have seen. So in case of Rankine cycle, steam can be superheated, but in case of ideal Carnot cycle, steam cannot be superheated, that cannot be used. Next one, the work done in Carnot cycle is given by area A, B, C, D, E. So this is the EA, is this area gives us the work done in Carnot cycle. Whereas in Rankine cycle, the area A, B, C, D, A gives us the work done. So this very small amount of work is excess done Carnot cycle. So here the amount of work produced by both the cycles is approximately same. That is nothing but, so instead of using a Carnot cycle as a standard reference, a Rankine cycle can be used as a standard reference because it has certain advantages, because the condensation is complete and complete condensation helps us to pump this condensed water into the boiler, because the pump need not to handle heterogeneous mixture of steam and liquid or water vapor. Here complete liquid can be handled by pump and that can be supplied to the boiler. So that is one of the advantage. And second advantage, in Carnot cycle we need to stop condensation process in between. Exactly where to stop is the question mark. But in Rankine cycle the condensation process can be stopped after complete condensation only. And in a Rankine cycle steam can be superheated in the superheated region. But in case of Carnot cycle, steam cannot be superheated beyond dry saturation limit. If we heat it, then we cannot call that cycle as a ideal Carnot cycle. So ideal Carnot cycle is nothing but the heat supplied at constant temperature. So here heat is supplied at constant pressure. After this temperature is not going to remain constant, then the definition of Carnot cycle gets violated. So heat is not supplied at constant temperature, that is heat supplied is not as per isothermal law. Therefore it violates the definition of Carnot cycle. In case of ideal Carnot cycle, it is impossible to heat this steam in a superheated region. Now coming to next term, we will have one derivation and afterwards we will stop. So efficiency of Rankine cycle in terms of temperature and latent heat at supply pressure. So here efficiency we have defined. So the efficiency which we have defined will be given in two different terms. So two terms, that is in terms of temperature and in terms of latent heat. So temperature is represented by term T and latent heat is represented by HF. So complete the equation of efficiency is represented in terms of temperature and latent heat. So here steam, when it is supplied wet, first we will consider this wet steam as a supply steam and then afterwards we will convert this wet steam to dry saturated steam. So here the water which is saturated liquid is supplied with latent heat of vaporization, that is HFG, at temperature T1, where temperature T1 is the higher temperature, and steam, when it is wet, it is at point B, starts to expand and it is expanded up to point C. So wet steam itself is expanded, where the dryness fraction of steam at point B is say x1 or x. X1 is the dryness fraction of steam at point B. That steam is expanded up to point C, and from point C this wet steam is condensed up to point D. And here, neglecting this pump work, so it is assumed that this pump work is 0. So E point is removed. So here heating takes place, sensible heating is added, and again it becomes saturated liquid, and then saturated liquid absorbs a latent heat of vaporization, gets converted into wet steam. So this cycle is going to repeat. So now only assumption is steam supplied to the turbine is wet, it is not dry saturated. So while getting the derivation of efficiency of a Rankine cycle, we assume this point B to be on dry saturation line. Here we are assuming it prior to that. So dryness fraction value varies from, here dryness fraction X value is 0 at point A, and if it comes here at point say B dash, so dryness fraction value X is equal to 1. So here at point B, dryness fraction value X is less than 1. It may be 0.8, 0.9, whatsoever it is definitely less than 1. So now coming to the next thing, steam used is wet. Now work done by the steam, work done by steam is given by, so we know enthalpy at point B, enthalpy at point B minus enthalpy at point C is nothing but the work done. HB minus HC is nothing but the work done during expansion process. So this work done can be given as the area A B C D A, area A B C D A, the area A B C D A, area A B C D and A gives us work done on PV diagram, not on TS diagram. So this area is nothing but the work done. So this area can be splitted into different regions. Area, you can write it as area AHDA, area AHDA, this area AHDA plus of area, we can call this area as ABCHA, ABCHA. So this area ABCHA. So this area ABCDA can be split into two areas, this triangle area plus this square or rectangular area. Then we can write this equation as area AHDA, area AHDA can be written as total heat at A, point A, minus total heat at B, minus of area DH FED. First of all, we will discuss about this. So area AHDA, area AHDA. So this area of triangle is again further splitted into total heat at A. Total heat at A minus total heat at D gives us complete enthalpy, complete heat from point A to EF. So this gives us complete heat from AHFEDA and minus of area DHFED. So this area, say this area is 1, this area we call as 2, and this we call as area number 3. Area number 3, let me change the color. This area 3 is subtracted. So first area AHDA we want to find out. Area AHDA, we want to find out area AHDA. So first total heat at A minus total heat at D. Total heat at A minus total heat at D gives us complete area from A to EF. From that we have to subtract area DHFE D. So this area is subtracted. So we get this area AHDA. So this area AHDA is split into 3 terms here. Now coming to second part, this area ABCHA, we write as it is area ABCHA. Now coming at this total heat at A, total heat at A is given by temperature T1. Temperature T1. So at point A, a higher temperature T1 exists. So we write it as T1 minus total heat at D is represented by T2. So total heat at D, because at point D temperature is T2. T1 minus T2 minus of area of this rectangle. Area of this rectangle can be obtained like this. Temperature T2 at point this from x-axis to this up to D, distance is T2. So is equal to T2 into this DH, distance DH can be given as entropy at point D minus entropy at point A. Entropy at A minus entropy at D. Entropy at A is higher entropy minus lower entropy. So this distance is SA minus SD. So SA minus SD is the width of this rectangle and height is T2. So plus of the area, this area we want to find out. This area is nothing but distance between A to B, distance between A to B and distance between B to C. So distance between A to B is nothing but, first we will find out distance between B to C. So at point B temperature is T1, at point C temperature is T2. So T1 minus T2. T1 minus T2 is the width of this rectangle, height of rectangle from B to C into width of rectangle is entropy at point B minus entropy at point A. SB minus SA So this is height of rectangle into width of rectangle. So on further simplification, we can write this as T1 minus T2 minus of T2 into SA. This SA is nothing but entropy at point A. Entropy at point A can be given in terms of temperature, that is log T1. Temperature at A is T1, so that is given by log of T1 minus entropy at point D is given as log of T2. Then again the thing we have to. So this is written as like this: T2 into log of T1 minus log of T2 plus T1 minus T2 into, now this SB minus SA is written as, so we'll write here entropy, change in entropy ds is equal to dq by t. So this dq is nothing but heat transfer, change in the heat transfer. So during this process A to B, SB minus SB minus SA is nothing but latent heat of vaporization supplied. Latent heat of vaporization supplied, if it is supplied from point A to B dash, say if it is completely supplied B dash, complete latent heat of vaporization, we call it as HFG. But it is supplied from A to B, where at point B the dryness fraction of steam is say X1. So out of 100%, X1% is supplied. So that's why we write this dq as X1 into HFG1 divided by temperature at which this heat is supplied is T1. So at the higher temperature it is supplied, higher temperature is T1, so we can write in this denominator as T1. So this change in entropy from D to A can be written as X1 HFG1 divided by, on further simplification we can write it like this: bracket T1 minus T2 minus T2 into log of log T1 minus log T2 can be written as log T1 divided by T2. Using logarithmic law, we can convert this log T1 minus log T2 as log T1 divided by log T2. Closing this bracket, we can write additional things as it is, that is T1 minus T2 into 1 HFG1 divided by, on further simplification we can see here T1 minus T2 is there, here also T1 minus T2 is there. So taking T1 minus T2 as common, T1 minus T2 as common in these two terms. So here only 1 is going to remain, 1 plus, so here this T1 minus T2 is taken out as a common factor, so X1 into HFG1 divided by T1 is going to remain in the second term. So next term, that is T2 minus T2 into log of T1 divided by T2 taken as it is. So this term taken as it is here. So this is nothing but amount of work done, and we call this as say equation number 1 in this case. In this derivation, this is equation number 1, which gives us the work done. Now coming to the heat supplied. Heat supplied per kg of steel is given by, so heat supply starts from point D and it continues up to A and then beyond at A up to point B. So heat supplied is nothing but HB minus HD, or we can call it as HFD. So at point D, the condition of water or working substance is liquid. So this can be written as total heat at A total heat at A plus area ABGFA total heat at A plus area ABGFA. Total heat at A gives this complete area below this A, and the area ABGFA gives complete heat minus of total heat at D. So first we find out this area, this total heat at A plus total heat at area ABGFA is this area, complete area we take, and from this area total heat at D means this complete area is subtracted. Which area is subtracted, just I want to highlight with change in the color. This area is subtracted. Total heat at D means this area is subtracted. So now we can write total heat at A is nothing but T1 plus area ABGFA means T1 into SB minus SA. T1 is the temperature, higher temperature between A and B. So T1 is nothing but height of this rectangle from x-axis, and SB minus SA is width of rectangle, minus of total heat at D is nothing but T2. Total heat at D is nothing but T2. So we can further write this as T1 minus T2 plus of T1 into SB minus S. So this T2 is taken along with T1. T1 minus T2 we have written. So again further we can rewrite this as T1 minus T2 plus of, so this SB minus SA in previous equation itself we have substituted as x1 into HFG1 divided by T1. So similarly here also we substitute as x1 HFG1 divided by T1 into this T1 we can write here. T1 gets cancelled. Finally, what is going to remain is T1 minus T2 plus of 1 HFG. So we call this as equation number 2. Equation number 2. So now we know heat supplied, we know work done. So Rankine efficiency or efficiency of Rankine cycle using wet steam is equal to work done per kg of steam divided by heat supplied per kg of steam. Per kg of steam. So on substituting work done, equation T1 minus T2 plus in other bracket 1 plus x1 into h of g1 divided by T1, close this bracket, minus T2 into log T1 divided by T2. This is the work done. So substituting that equation number 1 here, T1 minus T2 in other bracket 1 plus x1 of g1 divided by T1 minus of T2 log T1 divided by T2 whole divided by equation number 2, that is heat supplied, is given by T1 minus T2 plus of x1 hf. So this is the equation number 3. Uses efficiency of Rankine cycle when Rankine cycle uses wet steam. So now if the steam is dry saturated, the value of x1 is equal to 1. So if this Rankine cycle uses dry saturated steam, then if the steam supplied to the turbine dry saturated, then the value of dryness fraction x1 is equal to 1. Therefore Rankine efficiency cycle becomes as, so in previous equation, equation number 3, just substitute x1 is equal to 1. We get T1 minus T2 other bracket 1 plus, here there was x1 value is 1, so only hf g1 divided by T1, close this bracket, minus T2 log T1 divided by T2 whole divided by T1 minus T2 as it is, plus there was the term x1, so x1 value is 1, therefore here it becomes hf. So we call this as equation number 4. So if steam is dry saturated and dryness fraction is equal to 1 and Rankine efficiency of the cycle or cycle efficiency the efficiency of Rankine cycle becomes this one in terms of temperature and latent heat of vaporization. So we stop here. Tomorrow we'll discuss about the Rankine cycle if the steam used is superheated.